The pandemic and Brexit are leaving deep marks. British EU exports collapsed at the beginning of the year. Announced import controls will be postponed following complaints from companies. By the way, you should stay tuned until the end if you don't want to miss anything interesting. And if you don't want to miss anything at all, just subscribe to my channel and click the little bell, then you'll be notified when another video comes up. Shortly after the completion of Brexit, the current UK economic data looks sobering. In January, exports to the European Union fell by 40.7%, according to the ONS Statistics Office. Imports fell by around 29%. In terms of prices and volume, the slump was the largest decline in a month since records began in January 1997, said the Statistics Agency. Overall, exports, excluding precious metals, fell by 19.3%. The setback is not only a consequence of Brexit. The restrictions to contain the corona pandemic are also having a dampening effect on economic performance. But Brexit does have a significant effect as well, no matter what the government says. This is also shown by the current data on gross domestic product, the GDP. In a month-on-month comparison, economic output fell by 2.9% in January, according to the ONS. Analysts had anticipated an even bigger setback, expecting GDP to fall by an average of 4.9%, and the UK Statistics Office reported a 1.5% decline in industrial production in January compared with December. That is much sharper than experts expected. In Germany, the decline in January was even more pronounced at minus 2.5%. Before that, however, there had been 8 consecutive months of growth. Complaints from the companies have led the British government to postpone the announced import controls for 6 months. The government announced that full customs controls would not be introduced until January 2022. This will give companies more time to prepare for changes at the border and minimize disruptions when the economy is gradually reopening, it said in support. EU Affairs Minister David Frost said complaints were heard from business people who needed more time, and British business associations welcomed the move. There was also approval from Germany, but from companies, not from the government, because it's still a breach of contract. The UK had announced a 6-month transition period for customs controls after the final Brexit. Since the country has left the EU customs union, there have been numerous customs and trade barriers. And on Friday, the German federal government again criticized the USA and Great Britain for their extensive ban on exports of corona vaccines in the current pandemic. Government spokesman Steffen Seibert said that in addition to the European Commission, the federal government is also seeking talks with the governments of both countries. Europe, the EU, has funded research, development, and production of vaccines on a large scale. We are an important production location for vaccines. Not only do the people in Europe benefit from this, but the whole world benefits from it, said Seibert. In the past 6 weeks, exports to more than 30 countries from the European Union had been approved for over, I guess it was 180 million doses. On the other hand, we find that while we have exported to many countries around the world, nothing or almost nothing has been exported from the USA or Great Britain so far. This is, of course, an issue that affects the European Commission on behalf of the member states, but also with the governments of other countries. The vaccination campaign started much more slowly in Germany and in the other EU countries than in the USA and Great Britain. They took more time to certify the vaccines. The European Commission ordered much later than the USA and Great Britain, for example, although in case of AstraZeneca, we now know by the contracts that's not that true. In addition, there are repeated delays in the delivery of the vaccine. And something more fun, Scottish craft beer ends up on the Aldi shelf thanks to a PR coup. Instead of fighting in court, the discounter and the Brewdog brand are teaming up. In the middle of the beer crisis, the Scots are expanding their sales in Germany. Markus Thieme has just made a big step forward in his plan to convince the beer-drinking nation of Germany, of all people, of a new hop drink. The Germany boss of the still young Scottish brewery company Brewdog is now cooperating with the discount giant Aldi Süd. That's Aldi South. Aldi is split in two in Germany, where they come from. Together, the two unequal partners bring the specially brewed can beer Alt IPA to the Aldi branches this Friday. A success for Thieme, a former Jägermeister manager, because Brewdog is now said to be the most valuable British beer brand. According to Aldi, it is already in the top 20 worldwide. But in Germany, Brewdog is a small number, especially compared to brands like Beck's, Warsteiner or Krombacher, who invest a lot of marketing money in TV advertising. They all struggle with the fact that Germans drink less and less beer. The per capita consumption fell dramatically from 145 liters in the 1980s to only around 100 liters. At the same time, the brewers are engaged in a price battle. Nevertheless, Thieme managed to bring the brand into the beverage departments in Germany at Rewe and Kaufland. The fact that Aldi Süd is now also cooperating with Brewdog is mainly due to the unconventional Brewdog founders. Last August, they opted for a weird solution when Aldi competed with them in England with a craft beer whose can was confusingly similar to the Brewdog variety Punk IPA. Instead of complaining, Brewdog co-founder James Watt countered with a Yaldi IPA in the style of the discounter. Allegedly, Yaldi means something like yippee in Scottish. My Scottish friends can probably tell me if it's true. The skirmish then gave rise to the unusual cooperation, a PR coup that earned Aldi in Great Britain appreciative comments among craft beer fans and brought welcome additional sales to Brewdog, which is suffering from the pub closings in the wake of the Corona pandemic. However, the IPA that Aldi Süd is now selling in its local branches does not come from Scotland. Germany boss Thieme has it brewed directly at the Brewdog location in the south of Berlin. And that was just a story I really wanted to add. I'm not drinking that much. That's not why I had a whiskey video several times now, this beer one. I just thought it was a real funny story. And it is nice that instead of going to court, they found another way, and now they're even cooperating with each other. And I really have to try that one day. And the story is just fun. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.